Instrumentals.
Welcome to another edition of the Inside Profile. I'm your host, PMC, for the next 30 minutes. This time around, I am in Livala South. We're going to be talking to Mr. Daniel Mvula Shimunza right here as we get to find out more from him as one of the successful men that I know currently is doing big things as well. So catch me on the other side as we go to talk to Mr. Daniel right here in Livala. We get to find out more from him and what truly inspires him. Welcome to the Inside Profile. We're going to be having an awesome time. Hope you get to learn something from this as well as you are watching right about now on Prime TV. Catch him on the flip side as we get to talk to him at his place. This is his place right about now.
Instrumentals. Instrumentals. Instrumentals.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much for allowing us as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so like I said, at his house, we're going to be talking to him, just getting to find out more. Mr. Daniel,
Yes.
this is your house.
This is our home, our humble dwelling.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Your humble house.
Our humble home, yes.
Okay. Very interesting. If you don't mind, you can just show us through so that we can, before we get into the interview as well.
You can see they are still working. Here, this is where my bedroom is.
Okay.
So you can see they are still working. And we have a bathroom there.
Okay.
This is our dining area. Here, we have another bedroom there
Okay.
for the guests.
Oh, guests like us.
Guests like you, you can probably go and sit there.
Okay.
Dining area.
Okay. Okay. So this is where you have your breakfast, your supper.
Have our dinner,
Okay.
breakfast, and so forth on a daily basis.
Okay.
As a family.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a set of twins, my wife, and the other members of the family.
Where are they?
The kids at school, of course.
Okay.
Yes. And then we have two other young men that I stay with, and then our helpers at home.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Then we have two other bedrooms here for the kids, where they are still working on them. And then we have another multi-purpose room upstairs where the kids also can do games and other things. Over here we have the kitchen. They're still cleaning.
Okay. All right.
And of course, here is my library, which we are.
Here is the library.
Where we get all the wisdom.
Okay.
And I'm actually reconstructing my library.
Oh.
You can see the kind of
Like this is huge, very big.
yeah. So I'm working on a number of things.
Like all this book that I'm seeing right about now. Did you read all these?
Most of them I've read them.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm doing my PhD now and so forth. So I'm just resetting my library. So you found it at a point where we are restructuring things around it.
This is like super big. Okay. We won't stay much because you're still working on the library as well. Yeah. So we're also talking to Mr. Daniel as well right here at his place. As you can do if you want to get to interact with me, get to search for us on Facebook, get to search for us as the Inside Profile, and also let us know, drop us your messages as well, what you think about this particular show as well. So catch him on the flip side as we get to talk more, we get to find out what really inspires him as well, and how he started up with everything, see the story. So catch him on the flip side as we get to talk to him on the interview.
Instrumentals.
So like I make mention that you can also get to follow us on Facebook, get to like our Facebook page. Let's stay interactive as well as let's just keep interacting like that on our Facebook page as well. Mr. Daniel, how are you doing?
Very well. How are you, my friend?
I'm very fine. I'm very excited because I wasn't hoping you to get to accept to follow you at your house.
Well, I mean, we are simple people. We live a simple life, trusting God every day. So you're very welcome to our humble home.
Is this like a simple life to you?
Yes, it is. It's simple. This is a normal house, a normal Zambian home, with a normal family. And as you can see, I'm in casual. I'm just at home.
Okay, so for people watching you for the very first time, maybe some know you, but some they don't know who you are. We can start with the introductions.
Well, I'm Daniel Mvula Shimunza. I grew up, I was born here in Lusaka at UTH. Normally I joke, I tell people I was born, my mother told me that I was born at 06 in the morning. So when people were waking up, I was born. I cried my first cry at UTH. During that time, my parents were living in Kaunda Square Stage 1. So I grew up in Kaunda Square Stage 1, just behind Monali Secondary School. I went to school at Tunduya Primary School. Then I finished my primary school there. Then went to secondary school at Kablonga Boys, which I finished in 1988 in my grade 9 and 8. Consequently, past those days, if you pass very well, then you go to David Kaunda Secondary School. So I went to DK from 89, 90, up to 93, I was at DK. So 88, 89, Kablonga, then 90 to 93, I was at DK. Finished my DK, worked for Nemkem Investments as a cleaner, later on as a sales representative. So I started from a very humble background. I remember those days, I stayed with a friend of mine when I worked for Nemkem Investments. I used to walk every day from Umtendere. I stayed later on with a friend of mine who has gone on to be with the Lord, is now gone. And his name was Stanislas Njovu. He kept me in his house. I used to walk from Tendere D up to Evelyn Horn. And later on Nemkem Investments, I would actually walk trekking every day for work. I worked as a cleaner. One day I was working and my boss, from South Africa said to me, yeah, there's something about you. We want to train you to be a sales representative. Then I worked as a sales representative. After that, I was able to raise enough money. I took myself to Kaniki Bible College. That's where I did my first diploma in practical theology. I always wanted to serve the Lord. And so I got born again when I was almost turning 14. And so when I was going to secondary school and later on going to work and Bible college, I was already a born again Christian. And so my life has always been about serving the Lord and helping people and preaching and teaching the word of God. Nothing gives me satisfaction than to see people give their lives to Christ and also help the human development. I've trained people in business. I've trained people in career path. I've done seminars, motivational speaking. And so life is such that very interesting. I've been to Italy to minister just because of the gospel. I've been to South Africa several times in places like Cape Town. We have done ministry there in places that you least think very well-to-do places and the poorest of places, gang areas. I would go and do ministry there. So in 1997, I was working with Praise Christian Center after I came from Bible College at Kaniki, and I served under Bishop Ngambi at Praise Christian Center. During that time, I was as an assistant pastor there, served. When I finished serving there in 98, we started Zoe Ministries. That's where now I'm the founding apostle for Zoe Ministries International, a church that is growing. We have now branches in Kafiwe. We have 4 churches, and we have started a new church in Livingstone, and we are planning to plant more churches countrywide. So I finished that. In 2003, I went to Justo Mwale Theological College, then now it's College University, where I did my first bachelor's degree in systematic theology. I finished that. Immediately I finished, I didn't waste time. I studied law at Zambian Open University from 2006 to about 2011, somewhere there, and graduated later on. After that, 2016, I've always been serving in Zoe Ministries as a pastor. Meanwhile, I do a number of businesses as well. I also like farming. I've got a number of farms. I've got 2 farms in Amwala and another farm in Chongwe where we are building, and I'm also farming there. I've got a number of animals that we are keeping there. So I love farming. When I go to the farm, you can't take me out. I just love to be there in the bush and working in gumboots and so forth. So for me, agriculture is very important, and I just love to see development, start something, building. Building is I like to build. I'm building houses in Namwala, I'm building, at the farm, I'm building a lodge at the farm as well. So building, construction, even this house, if you came at this house when we were building it, all this place was a ditch. There were ditches all over this plot. And people never thought that we could build a house here. But by God's grace, we began to building for me is a natural thing. I love to see things, projects, start from scratch, and you build it up to where you are. I've registered a number of businesses that I'm working on as an entrepreneur, and I've also trained a lot of people in entrepreneurship and business and so forth. So I'm a motivational speaker. I've practiced law in a law firm. I went to Ziale in 2015 and successfully finished my studies. But of course, I've got, how Ziale complicated Ziale can be. I didn't clear some of the courses, so it's up to me now whether I should go back or not. I went to ZDIS. I've studied as a diplomat. So I've got a certificate in diplomacy. And in 2015, I was doing 2 master's degrees at the same time. Studying for me comes as a natural thing. I love to study. I read a lot in my spare time. And for me, knowledge is 3 things matter for me: knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So I read almost anything. I read politics. Even before I studied politics, I read business. I read about money. I read about life, relationships, motivational issues, health. I read 5 newspapers on a daily basis or more.
So someone who's watching right about now, all those intro that you've mentioned, be like, okay, this man is like doing big right about now, like everything.
I don't think I'm doing big.
Like everything that you've mentioned, you read a lot, you have done a lot, you have achieved a lot, you have a lot of papers that make you to be that person that someone might look up to. But let's try to talk about the challenges from the time that you were growing up, your family. Did you like have everything, like the access that you have, like everything that you have right about now? Like you said, you're walking from one town to another on foot. Let's talk about your school background. How was it for you?
Well, school for me has been, I've always loved school. But when I started my primary school, of course, from Kaunda Square Stage 1 to Tundia Primary School, I walked every day. And sometimes I used to walk barefoot, going to school. And you can see your parents are struggling. From about 1972 to about 1979, I saw that my family was well-to-do. Okay, I can say that relatively my father was doing very well. But from about 1979, coming upwards in the 80s, I saw my family steep going down, and we struggled. My mother had to struggle to put us through school. I come from a family of 5. I'm the second born. I've got my elder brother, Reverend Paul Shimunza. He's also a reverend. He's an architect by profession. Then I'm the second born. Then I've got 2 sisters after me, and a late sister who was only about a year, then she died. Then I've got my young brother, whom I think you met. Normally I'm with him. So growing up was not easy. You could see, just like any ordinary family in Kaunda Square Stage 1, I saw my family struggle to take us to school. My mother, my father struggled to take us to school. But I became independent at an early age. I think by the time I was 17, I began to do certain things for myself. I would do piecework and slash people's homes and wash people's carpets, and then they would pay me money. I buy uniforms and so forth and take myself to school. And sometimes during holidays at DK, I would do piecework, raise money, and go to school. So for me, I began to learn to be independent at quite an early age. And I can say that life is not always easy, but if you are determined and you persevere, you have got goals and objectives. I've been a very pragmatic and very visionary person from day one. What has helped me to pass through all these challenges of life, especially as a youth, was the focus on the Word of God. The Word of God gave me a perspective of life that even though I was young, most of my friends were older than me, because the Word of God made me to mature very, very fast and to begin to be responsible at an early age. So what has helped me, even now, my challenges, even running a church, challenges that have to do with leadership and so forth, is my prayer life. Well, that's the first thing that I'll tell you. I pray every day, not less than 2 hours in prayer per day. So even when I was at DK, my prayer life is something that I can tell you that God taught me how to pray. And I've learned the importance of prayer, because I used to read about Jesus in the Bible as a young born-again Christian, and I'll see Jesus used to wake up every morning, go to pray. So every day, even today, okay, this has been happening for over the last 20, 25, 30 years. I live a prayerful life. I pray every single day. The first 5 hours of the day, I must be in prayer. Between 01 and 06, somehow I must be in prayer.
Talking about prayer, you mentioned something saying you became born again at the age of 14.
Yes.
How were your friends taking it? Because in my generation, right, Bono, if someone does that, like, you always pray. I know one time you always want to share something with your friends, maybe the word of God, they'll say you were boring at one point. How was it in your time?
In our time, if you got born again, you were mockery. In fact, they used to call us born again. Today, to be born again is a very popular thing, but in our time, we used to be mocked and say about born again. These people are crazy and so forth. Because those days, we had the days of Patrick Chisembele, we had Studio 22, people used to go for discos, and life. You young people now, you think that what you're doing now has never happened. No, actually, when you read the Bible, it will tell you that there's nothing new under the sun. You will see people wearing miniskirts. It was there, okay, in the time of Pongozi and so forth. People used to wear tight jeans, high heel horses. We used to call Kwerapa horse, Mansapat and so forth. All those things have been there. But I was protected from all that kind of lifestyle, and I was labeled as born again by my friends and so forth. But we kept on preaching to them. Some of them are dead by now, but God kept us, preserved us because of our focus in the Word of God, and by the grace of God, we are where we are today. And so life is not always easy. It will toss you. It has tossed me like everybody else. But what has kept me, like I said, one, my prayer life. I've always believed that prayer is important to regulate your day. So even today, now that I'm a pastor of a church or an apostle of a church, every day I wake up and go and train people to pray. I pray with people from 05. I pray on my own from 01, maybe to about 03, 04. And then I do a lot of studying in the night, okay, on my own, whatever I'm doing. Now as a politician, I write a lot. But I have to drive to church every morning at 5:30. To about 6:30, I pray with a group of people, and prayer is open at Zoe Ministries, just next to China Motel. So that is what has kept me. It has anchored my life. It shapes my life, and every day that is my focus.
Getting back to the aspect where you mentioned something, saying you read a lot.
Absolutely.
Let's try to bring it back. At what age did you learn how to read?
I think my reading habits developed when I was at DK, because DK, it was a very competitive school. In fact, with the moment we landed at DK, we were told you are the cream of the nation. Those days there were not even girls. It was just strictly boys. And the best people from every country, every province in the country, they either went to Eucharist, DK, or Mpelembe. That's how it was in our time. So going to DK, we used to call it Dakatepa. Dakatepa, DK studying and so forth. Dakatepa means you're studying the whole night. So when I finished my secondary higher education, and by the time I was going to Bible college, even when I was in Bible college, when it was weekend, because I was so used to studying, people would go for weekends, in Bible college, free weekends. We used to call it free weekends. I would remain in the library and studying. By the time I was graduating in 1996, 95, 96, I'd already written much about the ministry that I'm running, Zoe Ministries now. So studying has been part of me because of my development at David Kaunda. But I think after that, I even accelerated it to a level where sometimes I would read 3 books per day. 3 books per week of at least a maximum of 250 pages. I've read a lot about politics. I've read a lot about spiritual devotional books. I just showed you now that I'm arranging my library. So you can see the books are scattered everywhere because I'm just trying to rearrange my library. In fact, my library is too small. I've got books. I developed a habit where if I had a 50 kwacha, even when I was not where I am, not working, no money, if somebody gave me a 50 kwacha, instead of buying lunch or chicken and chips, I'd go and buy a book. And over time, I've developed a very healthy library. I'm doing 2 PhDs now. I did 2 master's degrees in philosophy and theology and hermeneutics and theology, one in South Africa, University of the Free State, I didn't have to go to any library. All the books are in here. Theological books are here. Political books are here. Business books are here. Everything that I need in terms of knowledge, wisdom, I can find it in the books, just within the house.
We're still on the Inside Profile right here on our Prime TV. Catch him on the flip side. We just go for a short break. We'll be back on the other side as we get to find out more about his family. How many are they in his family? Challenges, we're still on the aspect of challenges as well. So drop us your messages. Let us know what you think about this particular show as well. The Inside Profile right here as well. So we followed up Mr. Daniel at his house. This is his house as well. So drop us your messages. Let us know what you think about the Inside Profile. We'll just go for a snip short break. I'll be back on the other side.
Ska instrumental.
So, Mr. Daniel, before we went for a break, I posed a question saying, want to get to find out challenges that you have faced, not in your childhood, but in maybe having this house, maybe having a family, anything from that.
Well, challenges are always there, but it's how you respond to them. What I've learned in life is that, you see, challenges are a variable. The constant is God in your life, and knowing how to use the word of God to change every situation. So whatever challenge I have, I always use the word of God, whether it's national challenges, personal challenges, and family challenges. So in the earlier part of, I got married in 2000. And at that time, it was before we built this house, it was very difficult for me as a pastor to, raise money. We started a church from scratch with no rentals, and sometimes the landlord is threatening you and you don't know what to do. And as a pastor, the only thing I could do is pray and work where I could, do some consultancy here and there, and raise money and so forth. So it's important in life to know where you anchor the basis of your life. And for me, the word of God, prayer, and knowing God has kept me in those moments. So things like rentals, before we built the 2 houses that are here and the other places where I'm building, it was always a challenge to do with rentals. And one of the greatest challenges that I've faced in my life has to do with finances all the time. And but when you begin to learn that even in the Bible, money doesn't just come. You have to be entrepreneurial. God gives you power to get wealth, to create wealth, to produce wealth. So wealth creation, I began to learn those things. And so now we are on a path where we are building towards being financially free. And that is a process that we have to go through. There are no shortcuts in life.
Let's get it a little bit personal, though. You said you got married in 2000.
In 2000.
How's been your journey with your wife, and how did you meet her? Because I've seen a couple of people get married, maybe 1 year later, they divorce as well.
Well,
but those years, likely, if we were to put in the years, should be 17 years now.
17 years, yes.
So how has it been for you?
I got 17 in July. We celebrated our 17th anniversary. 17 years, of course, not without challenges. But marriage is a covenant. For a Christian marriage, it's a covenant. And challenges are bound to come. Sometimes you have all kinds of things that will come against you. But always, what we have learned is that you find a way to solve your issues and move on from that point. Always putting God first. And then you are able to look at your marriage challenges and build from there. I don't think there's any marriage that has no incidences of challenges. But, there can be personal misunderstandings. You learn to mature as a man or as a woman, and you resolve those issues until you come to common grounds and you move on. So we've learned with my wife to work together and to work as a team in everything that we do. If there's a problem, we sit down, we discuss, disagree to agree, and ultimately you still have to live and continue to enjoy marriage. Marriage is the best thing.
You're now in politics.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about her reaction, maybe your wife, when, I'm sure, like you said, you make decisions, the two of you. Every step that you take, she's always aware. When you told her that you want to do that, how was her reaction?
Well, I didn't tell her last year when we launched our party, but it's something that over the years I've been talking about. And all the time she would be, no, politics, no, just ministry, just focus on ministry. Yeah, but eventually, of course, I began to see that she realized that I'm passionate about this, and that we have not stopped ministry, but we are extending leadership in the political arena. So she had to come to a point where she welcomed it and supported me, and she's supporting me up to now, and feels that this is the right thing that I'm doing for the sake of Zambia and for the sake of Africa. So we are together in this thing. But it wasn't easy because over time, you know, it was not something that she was inclined that I would basically venture into. But eventually she began to see that this man is serious and I'm a type of person, when I set my mind to do something, I don't flip-flop and change. I'm a very pragmatic person and very focused. When I set my mind to do something, I do it with all my passion. So the fact that I've stepped into the political arena, there's no looking back. And I thank God for having a wife that can support you, because marriage is really about having somebody who can support you, can carry your weight in your purpose, and help you to fulfill God's dream and purpose for your life. Similarly, I must help her to fulfill our dream, and together we serve the Lord.
There's always this saying that they say politics is a dirty game. You preach the word of God now in politics. People out there might be asking a lot of questions. How are you going to handle that, and how are you going to balance your time?
Well, even Jesus was insulted. Jesus was ridiculed. Jesus was called a demon-possessed person. And the notion that pastors cannot venture into politics must be completely eliminated in our thinking. The Queen of England is basically the head of the Anglican Church. Martin Luther King Jr. was a reverend in the Baptist Church, and yet he was a civil rights activist.
Young people who are watching right about now, maybe people look up to you. What would be your word of encouragement to them? Maybe they're going through a lot of things. Maybe they feel where they live right about now. Maybe it's in rural area. They feel like they can't get to achieve anything at the end of the day. What sort of advice would you give to them?
The first thing I want to say to all the young people that are listening to us now is to the effect that in life, the earlier you find your purpose, the more focused you become. So it's important for young people to be focused at an early age. Between the age of 1 and 13, they're very critical years. So if you're listening to me, between age 1 and 13, those years are what we call formative years. You form your character. Between the age of 13 to about 19, those are years of discovery of your purpose and your career path. Between the age of 19 to about 30, those are age of responsibility. You begin to finish your education and find yourself responsible. Between the age of 30 and 40, you begin to expand your success. Between 40 and 50, you must maximize your success and make your money if you have to make it, and become successful. Between the age of 50 and above, you have to begin to put your successors in place and your legacy is left in place, so that now you begin to mentor others. So time runs so fast, and as young people, don't waste your time in alcohol, don't waste your time in beer drinking, whether you're in rural areas or now. Stay focused, have a vision, set your goals, and begin to pursue your goals, so that by the time you're 30, you have maximized your life, and don't waste your time.
To people who are watching as well, again, maybe someone is watching right about now, how can they get to maybe follow you on social media, as well as if they want to interact with you?
Absolutely. If they want to call me or WhatsApp me, my number is 0966 806560. That's on WhatsApp. If they want to get to our Facebook page for the Movement for National Transformation, you just click Movement for National Transformation Facebook page. Get to like the page and inbox me, okay? If you want to be part of that movement, inbox me, and then we'll give you details on how you can be part of the Movement for National Transformation. And we are looking forward to hearing from you and being a part of the journey to make Zambia a first world country.
Truly appreciate for your time. Like I said from the intro itself, I wasn't expecting you to get to accept the interview, but I'm very humbled that you allowed us into your house, and I have had an awesome time, and I'm sure as well viewers who are watching right about now, they have an awesome time and they have gotten something from that as well.
I should like to thank you for inviting me to be part of the Prime TV family and the nation at large, and we believe in every Zambian to maximize their potential.
All right. So catch him on the other side as we get to wrap it up with an outro rather. So he's gonna do something for me. I know he wasn't expecting this, but he's gonna do something for me on the other side.
This is Daniel Mvula Shimunza, the founding president for the Movement for National Transformation. Keep watching the Inside Profile at Prime TV every time. It's the best program I know.
Instrumentals.
I've been your host, brother, of the Inside Profile working on Prime TV. Hope you get to join me next week, same place, as we get to follow up another person who don't know who that person could be, but you just need to look out for our next edition next week right here called the Inside Profile. So from me, BMC, I'm out. Catch me next week, same place, same time.